Hey friends, this is Rose, Coach Rose AJ coming to holler at you guys with Carnivore Plus a little bit more, where we have conversations about things that are beyond carnivore. Today, we're going to be talking about fitness and exercise and activities that we do that benefit us. But today in the studio, who do I have with me?
Hi, Rose. It's Lori here from Lori's Carnivore Story up in cold Canada. How are you?
I'm doing really well, really well.
I do have an incredible YouTube channel. It's called Lori's Carnivore Story, and my handle is at Carnalori. I also have a website. It's just my name, loriweitzel.ca. So that's LORIWEITZEL.ca. So check that out as well.
So, what can I find on your YouTube channel as well as your website, Lori?
My website is more of a blog, just about, it's all about me. If you want to read up on my history, my childhood, my hobbies, pretty much anything. I write everything, and I built the website myself from code. And the YouTube channel is just me sitting here weekly updating my carnivore journey with what I'm eating, measurements lost, weight loss. And sometimes I just tell a story. The first few weeks, I talked a lot about, again, my health history. And then I also do a weekly update on a different day where I just take you along on my walks, or I let you see my little exercise routines, just an extra little something to put in there.
For today, what we're going to talk about is fitness and exercise. Like, I am obsessed with exercise, Lori. What about you?
I think I'm going to be obsessed with exercise eventually. And
Okay.
there were times in my life previously that I was actually quite into fitness. Um, Between having babies and being bored enough to take up exercise, there were different times in my life that things would go from one end to the other. So there was lots of sedentary years, but I think the real me has always wanted to be active, and now I'm embracing it again. Just starting out, coming from a lot of pain and immobility, and taking my time with it, and really enjoying what I'm doing so far.
I was younger, I would say up until about I was 20, I never really exercised. I was one of those girls that never liked to sweat. But at 20, my husband told me, hey, go to the gym, I'll keep the baby because I was 300 plus pounds at that time. And, I think that was his way of saying, hey, you're fat, go lose weight. But of course, he didn't use those exact words.
Yeah.
And Lori, what I didn't know or realize at the time is that exercise was going to become a quick addiction for me. I felt really good. I like to work out really hard. I would go to the gym, step mill. Back then, it was, what are those things called? Like not Zumba, but step aerobics. I do all the machines, over exercise, and it actually grew into an addiction. And I used exercise to kind of help stabilize my weight. First clue that it really worked for me at 20, Lori, was I felt immensely better. Those endorphins,
Yeah.
it alleviated my depression to a degree, but it did have a place where it wasn't the healthiest thing in my life, even though exercise is healthy. What about you? Did you go through periods when you were having good years of exercising where it was like a compulsion or an obsession?
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Yeah. So I was married very young at age 18, and I wanted babies right away. It took over a year and a half. I wasn't able to get pregnant right away. And I thought, there's something wrong with me. Everybody said, you're too focused on it. Try to just forget about it, think of something else, and it'll happen. So I decided I'm going to exercise. I was already overweight at 18 when I got married. And I literally started with 10 sit-ups. And I had a little book and I was writing in it 10 sit-ups. And then the next day was 11. And I thought, this is ridiculous. You don't go up one sit-up per day. And I thought, just keep doing it. And then I added what we call calisthenics, jumping jacks and different things. And next thing you know, I had about 10 exercises and was doing 100 repetitions a day. And I joined every aerobics class that was in my area. I lived in a small town, but there was always a lady somewhere doing something at the community center, and it was really cheap. And I would drive to the next town over on a different couple of nights through the week to her class. And I found a third town with a third class. So I was doing aerobics every night plus Saturdays. And I was doing exercises eventually, like over this year that I was obsessed, 6 hours in the evening. So I worked full time day shift at a factory, and I would come home and I would exercise for 6 hours. We had a huge living room at the time, and I just pushed all the furniture back. I was doing gymnastics in that living room. I decided I was going to be a gymnast. And all because I just was depressed about not being able to get pregnant yet. But I did it it was very, it wasn't good because I was also starving myself. I wanted that weight off, especially if I was going to get pregnant. But I wanted to get into those one pair of jeans that I held on to from high school. And I succeeded. I got into those jeans once. I wore them to a party. I didn't dare sit down all night because I barely got them on in the first place. I was all swollen when I got home and took them off. And the next week I went to put them on again and they didn't fit. And I starved myself even more. I thought, no, we're not doing this. I got to get these jeans on. And they were even smaller the following week. And I thought, okay, something's going on. And that's when I found out I was pregnant. So that
Oh,
ended, yeah, that ended the exercise obsession. And I went completely the other way after that. I'm a mom now. I don't have to worry about what I look like. I don't have to be fit. Wrong. But I mean, that was the mentality.
I didn't realize that it was an obsession, that it was an addiction until years and years later, the exercise,
Yeah.
right? So a lot of times people might not realize that they might have a food addiction, exercise, alcohol, drug addiction, whatever it is, but it's a primary addiction itself is a primary disease, right? A primary
Yeah.
illness. And it
Yeah.
has many outlets. And mine showed up in like 50 million different forms, but I wasn't as educated back then as I am now. And I realized looking back that exercise was a form of my illness and outlet, the obsession. When you look back to when you were 18, 19, and 20, what are your thoughts about that time frame with how you were exercising and trying to conceive? Did those things go hand in hand now that you look back?
I don't know if they went hand in hand. But it's like addiction is usually anything that I tried to give up in terms of addiction in my lifetime got replaced with another addiction. So now I know, and I think I'm sort of subconsciously trying to replace the addictions I'm working on now with the best possible addictions I can come up with, which
Yeah.
is, of course, exercise again. It's all about keeping busy.
Yeah.
I needed to, like, even though I worked full time, I got off work at 3 p.m. every day, and my husband might be working afternoon shift, and I'm home alone. And I don't want to just brood and think about the fact that I'm not pregnant. So I have to occupy myself. And I think you mentioned the endorphins too. Once you start exercising and you start seeing results, that is the biggest high you could ever have. And that
Yeah.
sparks, you want more. You want more of that endorphin. You want to look even better the next time you look in the mirror. You want even smaller clothes the next time you go shopping, and you want to feel more energy from the exercising. And you
And
become
although
addicted.
I was going to say, although the exercise does give us energy, it does deplete us and stress our systems as well, which is what it's supposed to do. But we're so caught up in the cycle that no matter how manic or overtired we are, we still keep going for it. For you, it was the 6 hours. For me, it was X amount of miles or however many minutes on the machine. We still had to meet our quota, right?
Yeah.
And that's stress in and of itself. Let's jump ahead to where we both are today, Lori. Um, so, exercise has remained a constant in my life. I mean, it's been a constant. I've never had a time out, so to speak, for 6 months, a year, or what have you. But I want to know, where does exercise fit in your life today, and how is that manifesting? Because I know you talked about some periods of immobility and whatnot. So talk to us about how it's factoring in your life today and what are some of your goals?
So I think it was the immobility that sparked the desire to move in any way, shape, or form. I didn't care if it was a little bit of walking, if it was rebounding, like, bouncing on the mini trampoline. I got a mini trampoline donated to me. Um, I never would have gone out and bought a treadmill or anything like that. But just, I remember saying to myself, if I can ever get past this hip pain that I'm currently feeling, which was at its worst 7 months ago when I started the carnivore lifestyle. It's kind of like you make a deal with God. If you let me get out of this bed, if you take this pain away, even just remotely, I will never stop moving again. It's just, I remember the first time I went out of the house. This was, I think, even before carnivore. I just needed to walk because they kept telling me the best thing I can do for myself for the osteoarthritis and the osteoporosis is to walk. And my question was, how? But maybe they expected me to take painkillers and get through the pain and be able to walk. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't do that. So there's me hobbling to the fire hydrant just out in front of the building. And I thought, again, going back to when it was just one sit up or 10 sit ups, and then 11, and then 12. If I can just make it to the fire hydrant, I can hobble back in the building. It's going to take, 5 minutes. It doesn't seem like it's going to do anything, but I have to start somewhere. And next thing you know, I'm looking down the sidewalk and there's another fire hydrant, however far down it is. I don't know how far apart they are. And I'm thinking, let's go for the next fire hydrant. And I mean, I felt like an idiot. I mean, I'm limping and I'm going so slow. And I just thought, I'm doing it. And the carnivore way of eating helped me reduce the pain to the point where I'm now walking almost every day. If I'm not walking, like I say, I'm bouncing. If I'm not bouncing, I'm walking in the building if I can't walk outside because of the Canadian winters. And now I've decided I've got to do that weight training too. I don't think I could handle, again, like those big machines at the gym and everything. But I have these little dumbbells and I thought I'm just going to start there. And I've already graduated from the 3 pound to the 4 pound.
You have to be proud of yourself. Yes, yes.
I, 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 I still pinch myself, actually. Yeah.
So it sounds like the carnivore lifestyle has helped you as far as with your inflammation to increase your mobility and whatnot. What other ways do you feel or do you know that carnivore has impacted you and helped you with getting back to exercise?
In terms of exercise, well, For one thing, once you lose a little bit of weight, which is the carnivore way of eating has helped me do that, because I didn't exercise the first 6 months or 5 months of the way of eating. The body composition, it changes to the point where you can now bend over and tie your shoes without a big stomach in the way. So if you can bend over and tie your shoes without a big stomach in the way, maybe you can exercise too. All of a sudden you're cleaning your tub fully bent over and your back doesn't hurt when you're done. Things like that, it leads you to believe you could probably do more. Again, you might do too much one day and you're kind of sore afterwards. But I used to get like, I would do one load of laundry and I would like just bending over to get it out of the washer and take it over to the dryer and bend over to put it in the dryer and then later come back and get it out of the dryer. My back would suffer for 3 days, like as if I had been in a marathon of some sort. Same with different shoes that I would wear. If I wanted to wear a different pair of running shoes to go for a walk, or if I had to wear a pair of dress shoes somewhere and I had to stand up for a long time, or certainly when I have to wear winter boots to trudge through the snow on a walk. Again, so much pain for 3 days. And now I'm sore for a couple hours, if I'm sore at all. And it's that good kind of sore, the sore that I remember getting when it was leg day at the gym. And you're just a little bit sore in your legs the next day, but it doesn't keep you from doing anything. And it just tells you that you're doing it right and it's a good feeling.
So it's a good kind of soreness, a good kind of pain, nothing that's going to set you back, but it's just a reminder that you did some good things and used some muscles that you might not
Yeah,
have used for a while.
yeah.
Yeah. So a couple of my favorite things to do, Lori, my two stabilizing forces are is I go to Hot Works. It's a place that's 24 hours. It has like seven different saunas, eight different saunas where you can do spin, you can do Pilates, you can do different things, and they have virtual trainers. So mine is Hot Cycle, that's my jam. I do that anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. And then I do weight training, strength training, and then some form of walking, whether it's on the treadmill or whatever, the elliptical. And then I have a home gym too. So I try to, and then I do dance class as well. So I try to stay as mobile as I can because it's good for my mental health. And I don't use it as a weight regulator anymore. I stopped doing that when I entered the carnivore lifestyle. So you tell us about a goal that you may have before we close out, a goal that you may have in the next 30 days.
I want to now incorporate the little bit that I do here and there. I want to incorporate into a daily routine. And I want to work up to where I can do all of the things in the same day.
Right.
So right now I'm going from like if I bounced for 5 minutes and maybe walked the halls for 10 minutes, that might be all that I do that day. But then the next day it might be the neighborhood walk and the arms. Um, and now I feel like I want to get a daily routine where they're all included, maybe just 10 minutes of each. I want the walks to be longer. I was getting up to really long walks before winter came. So probably that'll be a weather thing. But even just increasing the building walk where I do all 10 floors, or I guess there's 14 floors, but I don't think I have access to the 14th floor. So, but all the floors, and then maybe there'll be a day where I do the whole building, all 13 floors twice. I don't know what the limit is, but I just want to keep increasing everything. Like that's the thing. When I first started walking up the steep hill, I could tell right away that I'm getting good at this. Within 3 or 4 times, it wasn't as challenging anymore. And I thought, I guess I got to change this up. So I'm probably going to have to get ankle weights at some point, especially if I lose body weight. I'll have to add the weight back on to make the workouts harder. Same with the dumbbells going from 3 pounds to 4 pounds. I don't own anything heavier. I might have to invest in something heavier eventually. I can see myself eventually taking fitness almost as serious as you do, Rose, where I don't know if I'll join a gym or not. I don't know if I'll buy equipment, but I'll start to get pretty serious about proper form and proper technique, and proper intervals of which one and what's it for, like what target areas. I might discover along the way that I need to really work on the arms more so than some other part or something like that.
Yeah,
So
until you increase, those are some great goals. But I do want to say that, Lori, until you get to where you're going, you can always use your body weight, right? Body weight exercises. You can work on your form as though you were, bench pressing or whatever you're choosing to do in the long run. You can start building your form right now. Everything that you do, like with squats, step ups, whatever you're doing, walking up steep hills with weights, your form really does matter. So when you actually start
yeah,
compounding that and doing longer workouts, it'll just be natural for you to have your abs held in, your back straight, your core tight, the whole nine. But
good.
yeah, so just use what you have and build from there. And I always preach micro workouts like what you're doing. It sounds like you want to compile everything or condense everything into a certain time frame. But micro workouts are really, really good because it keeps us moving. We don't want to expend all of our energy in one workout and then be sedentary the rest of the day, right? So you've got some really good goals there, Miss Lori. And I want to say thank you for joining me in this conversation about fitness and exercise. And I can't wait to hear back in maybe 3 to 6 months to see where you're at. And maybe you will have had joined a gym at that point in time, right? Maybe, never say never. All right, friends, until next time, we're going to peace out. And Lori, tell them one more time where they can find you on YouTube before we close out, my dear.
Lori's Carnivore Story.
On YouTube, guys, you got it there.